Well, welcome to my cellar again. That has a double meaning because I started doing this a little while ago and my computer locked and froze, and I'm back. So here we go again. And I hate having to do these over because I try to be spontaneous and now I'll have to repeat. Let's see what to repeat. Okay. The first thing to repeat is that I will not be doing one a week from tonight because that will be Christmas night. I will, however, be doing one a week from 2 weeks from tonight on New Year's. I will do one on the night of New Year's Day. So it'll be there on the dawn for the second for you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. I know Hanukkah's over, but for those of you who celebrated it, I hope it was a good one. Enjoyable. You got maybe to spend a little time with your loved ones. Okay. Less a question and more of a comment. I recently watched a video made by Mark Brown, which explains the birth of Japanese RPGs. I've always had an idea of how much D&D influenced so much of modern gaming, but I never knew it was to this extent. Wizardry and Ultima having D&D roots was no surprise, but I was amazed to learn that even Metal Gear Shield, MGS, created by Hideo Kojima, had a certain degree of influence from it. It's a military espionage game that revolutionized the stealth genre, and I love that series so much. It's so interesting to me how the first video game I played is connected to D&D. And you know what? Just about any game you would have picked as your first would have been connected to D&D. Lives, levels, hits, variable weapon damage. It's arguable that video games today would look in no way similar to what they are now if it weren't for the influence of tabletop role-playing and primarily Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, I know I got a little bit of a disclaimer coming that I was involved in it, but I still feel it to be true. Next short response, obviously from someone in Canada. Canada Post. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I know. I make fun of it down here, but you got to live with it. All right, now I'm going to talk about something for the very last time. It will never be spoken of in 2021. You know what? I bet that any class of character could be a Morris dancer. I'm trying to figure out why this individual has such a thing with Morris dancers. Were they terrified by Morris dancers when they were young? Is it a secret, sacred, shameful family tradition that some of their eccentric uncles used to be Morris dancers? I don't know. But this is the last time we're going to deal with this, only because of some of the other points brought up. I know, you all but banned the dreaded Morris dancers from this channel. Consider it banned from this point on. So let me legitimize this as a question and take it away from those fertility rites that put you all a quiver with revulsion. Statement. Character class is a necessary but reductive concept, enabling people to interact with adventurous situations in a way codified within an arbitrary rule system in order to offer variety, especially in elements of chance. Commas added for clarity. Okay. And so it is therefore possible for a fighter to be a holy fool, or a religious zealot, or a blindly loyal guild member, or any one of a number of colorful extracurricular class, meaning type of person. Okay, sure. I'm beginning to wonder why. A wizard could be a health nut, perhaps addicted to jogging, or a potter capable of throwing ornate clay objects. Sure, you could do this. Your imaginary character that only lives in your mind while you're playing in the game and while you're thinking about your imaginary character could do anything they want. They could do needlepoint with spider webs. They could do. They could juggle um, flaming balls of pitch. Okay, sure, all right. So he says that while the Wheel of Blame would not require such a detailed character background, still it wouldn't hurt anything for a player to append words like manic birdwatcher or pigeon fancier. Oh, not that pigeon. That pigeon's a bastardized language. You meant the kind that go cuckoo, the feathered rats, to their pregen's character sheet. I don't care what they add to their pregen's character sheet. As I tell my players, and we'll talk about that more later about the successful game we ran last night, um, they're assumed to have the standard stuff, pitons, ropes, water, flasks of oil, et cetera, et cetera. Anything odd, they got to write on their character sheet. Now, if they want to write down manic birdwatcher, okay, I don't know if that'll ever come up. That'll be a benefit, but they could, I guess. So instead of being a class requiring stat blocks, bonuses, and height and restrictions, for example, couldn't Morris Dancer still be a character element under the heading of passions or interests? Passions. I've never seen a character sheet that has either one of those, a box for either one of those. Like I said, if you want to develop you can do anything you want with your character. You can make him green and yellow striped and shoot fiery farts out his ass. Again, if you spend that much time involved in thinking about and playing your character, fine. I don't. Merry Christmas. Hope it's a good one. All your loved ones are well and stay safe that way. Stay that way. Yes. Okay, and this is from this person that's hooked up on Morris Dancers and saying, well, while he can't give me a gift as such, he hopes that these goofball questions have given me amusement and thanks me for a wonderful year of entertainment and thought provocation. Both are good for the brain and the heart. And here's to many more curmudgeon in the cellars. Well, thank you. Yes, I'd like that too. Many more curmudgeons in the cellar. Let's see where we go. Okay, this is in reference to the comment I made about what I like to play in the background, New Age music. Now, I admit, New Age is a huge genre. Everything from Mark Isham to Enya, and lots and lots and lots of good ethnic bands in between. Lots of good Irish bands, for instance, which I happen to like. But then again, I like bagpipes too. Used to be I'd listen to an LP of bagpipes. After one side, I was ready to go out and pick a fight with the neighbor. So I can see why the the Scots like to use them in battle. It gets you fired up. So they ask, are you familiar with 2002? I'm guessing that's a band. No. Highly recommended. Liquid Mind as well. Okay, like I said, I dibble, I dabble in that, but a lot of it's Celtic music, and a lot of it's generic stuff, and a lot of it's in Gaelic, and I can't understand it. And then someone else recommended, I believe this is a recommendation, Kemper Crab, the Vigil, or Warrior. Yeah, I think I might have a CD of Warrior that somebody gave me. They made a copy. I'm not sure. I've heard of them before. I don't go for real bombastic, loud, crashing, distracting music. I go for twinkly crap in the background that just adds to the ambiance. The best one I could give you an example of, one of my all-time, probably my favorite one to play while if we were adventuring, is just about anything by Bo Hanson, Bohanson. It's going to be hard to find. It's been a while since he's recorded. Attic Thoughts. He did a Lord of the Rings years and years ago. That's brilliant. Then there's the obvious. I'm going to make a loop one time, or I'm going to burn a CD or whatever that has the Pilgrim Song and all the good rock and roll songs on them that are good for games. Question: if characters turn to stone, are they dead or put into stasis? Stasis. But however you pronounce, I don't know how to pronounce it. If they die and are restored later, do they remember the afterlife? Okay, my opinion. Being turned to stone, while it has a relatively immediate effect of immobilizing you, I would probably excuse me, I don't know where this persistent cough came from. I'm still looking for an energy drink sponsor. Anybody knows anybody with Monster? That would be appropriate. I'd be cheap. Give me a case a month. I wouldn't drink them all, but I'd offer them to my friends. I drink a bunch of them, though, especially if they were no cal. Anyway, where are we going? Oh, back in turning into stone. I would give them, if the party had one of their members turned to stone, I'd give them a 3 or 4 day window before it became absolutely complete. And of course, the more days, the less likelihood you'd be able to pull the person back or resurrect them. But I'd give it a 3 or 4 day span as they ossify. And there'd be some window there to try to bring them back. So if a character were dead by whatever means and then brought back, whether or not they believed in an afterlife would depend solely upon your beliefs, the collective beliefs of your group, and not much else. Because if you didn't believe in one, you probably wouldn't spend a lot of time dealing with it. And if you did, you might. But, that's best settled in a manner that it's least offensive to the people playing. Of course, the people that would get really offended for religious reasons for resurrecting people don't play anyway, so we don't have to worry about them. Okay, somebody made this 1,000-year-old vampire choose your own adventure with a Kickstarter. I love D&D pretty much inspired. I love how D&D pretty much inspired the choose your own adventure format. Well, let me make a minor clarification there. When Rose and whoever else started writing those, I'm not doing Rose a disservice when I say that whole idea of choose this, choose that, go to page, sprang full formed out of Rose's head. There were other instances of that type of publishing stories. It was a natural for dungeoneering, but that was not. I'm pretty sure. In fact, I'm certain that we were not the very first to do anything like that. Granted, those books caught on and got a lot of attention, no doubt about it. All right, want to add some extra fun to your games. Get crit tables like the ones in Lion and Dragon and the Old School Companion. Last session, one of my players got a crit and rolled a result that ended up cutting off a diabolical lizard man's slaver's fingers off. Oh, okay. I should have edited that. And disarming him of his living cobra-headed whip. Okay, sounds like that was a bang-up adventure. The thing about crits, number one, I favor hit points as the more generic ability to avoid the blow. So I don't get into hit locations as a rule. Now, there are circumstances where that might not be the case. But the thing about critical hits, back in the day, and I still adhere to that, if I rolled a 20, it just meant I got you for a few extra more points. I have noticed that players will lobby for critical hits until the DM says okay and gives the monster the same thing. And then the player character has his fingers chopped off and loses his +3 sword. In this case, a double-edged sword. Would you not agree? Crits can be, it's all in your campaign. I'm not Jolly's Hackmaster players going for called shots to the groin and kneecaps and, and whatever. That's not the way that I play. The Knights of the Dinner Table play that way, and that's fine. And I know there's lots of groups out there that play that way. Because if there weren't, Jolly wouldn't have been lampooning and spoofing them. Okay. Just a note on your comments about the changes on the shelves behind you. Well, we got more. This is from somebody's wife, to my wife, saying, I feel you. My significant other's love of RPGs has created a living, breathing ecosystem throughout the home. No surface is safe. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Okay, there have been some changes. You now see 2 shiny boxes back there and a beat the crap old cardboard box. The 2 shiny boxes contain Eldritch products that I wrote and a whole bunch of adventures that I've written and were never anything but self-published. So there's all sorts of goodness there. And then that beat up brown cardboard box, well, that's got all my personal copies of Little Wars and Adventure Gaming. And above the shiny boxes is a set of 1 to 6 Gygax magazines. Now, next to, and I'm going to further move out of the way here, there's a stuffed boule. And then, let's see, the gold edged anniversary edition of the first 3, first edition. First edition, there's a first edition monster manual. Then there's an Arts and Arcanum, and then there's some other stuff. And of course, I've still got Joe and Sophia looking over my shoulder. So there you are. You're up to date for all you that were seemingly morbidly interested in what's on my shelf behind me. What are some changes do you like to do when your game sessions get Groundhog Day feel? All right, if you mean like every morning you wake up, it's deja vu all over again, if that's where you're going, that's how I'm going to answer it. For one thing, I don't have that in the Wheel of Blame. All right, as I'll explain a little later, that doesn't happen. When we got rutted, both with my group in Carbondale and up at Lake Geneva, we'd shift to another RPG, or sometimes to another game for a while. Something that had the same group appeal to it. In Carbondale, we'd go to Boot Hill for a couple of weeks. Usually, while that was going on, I was feverishly getting the next 3 or 4 chapters ready for the campaign to play out inside of. I would outline the chapters, and they would fill in the details. Have somebody else DM, though that's very, very risky. There are a lot of people out there that think they have what it takes to be a DM. A lot of them are wrong. You might end up having the group and this person become alienated because of their style or lack thereof, or skills or lack thereof. So that's very dangerous. When it's getting boring, suspend the campaign for a couple of weeks. Play board games and whatever. Just say you got to catch up on it or whatever. If you're the DM, You are in charge. You do call the shots. Play something else for a couple of weeks. Play some board games that have a certain element of, if not role playing, identifying with the side or the pieces or whatever. I think you understand what I mean. There's some where you can kind of sink into to a much lesser degree, but let your personality run free, or the personality you wish you could let run free. In any event, play a different game. We used to always play, pardon me, a warm-up game waiting for the last one or two people to show up. Nuclear war was real popular, then naval war. There's others. And sometimes the naval war would get so heated that we'd play it for an hour, well after the other people got there, and only then begin what we set for the night. Okay, now, I'm surprised you didn't remember this, Tim. The Thule. All right, apparently the Thule was a misprint in the in the third of the Little Brown books. I wasn't there then. I had nothing to do with the Little Brown books. Nothing. And then you guys, not me, decided to say it was actually a combination of a troll, hobgoblin, and a ghoul. Moldvay included in his edition of Basic in 81. Well, if he did, it was because we had, like many of the other Easter eggs we put in there, it was just tongue-in-cheek, like filk singing. Okay, just a term that's been perpetuated. Basic in 81, and in a few modules. I don't know what they did after that. So why would I remember it? I kind of bridle at the suggestion you think I should. I've explained carefully when I walked away from the development of the game and where my game is frozen in amber. And that's after. So why would I remember? A typo. There were so many typos in those 3 Little Brown books that you would have needed a Rolodex to index them all. Okay, here's a positive response to the hell yes for the return of Ralpartha. Yeah, Ralpartha Legacy is gonna be good. And he said these were his favorite sculpts from back in the day. Well, yeah, with Tom Meyer, Julie Guthrie, and Dennis Mai sculpting for him back in the early 80s, there was nobody touching them. Late 70s, early 80s, nobody touched them. And I don't say that because I was friends with them. I became friends with them because I wanted to know who the hell was putting out these amazing figures. All right. And now I have yet another question about how do I sign up for a game? Well, let me tell you about it. Yesterday, Thursday, because now it's Saturday technically. Thursday, I ran the first Theater of the Mind for 6 guys. And we had a ball. It lasted just under 4 hours, even though one of them was almost 10 minutes late getting started. Made us, anyway, it went well. A much fun was had by all. And you too can do this. I'll explain once more. You can't sign up individually. I don't have the energy, the inclination, or the attention span to deal with a dozen or more people individually that want to sign up for a game, coordinate sending out the pre-gens and that. I will book parties, groups. That way I send everything to one person. That person's responsible for passing out the pre-gens. That person's responsible for paying the fees. And it works out really well. I'm doing one on the night of Tuesday, the 22nd. And by the way, any of you guys that played the other night, I had as much fun as you did, I hope. That's why I do it this way. I get to have as much fun. And I'm selfish in that regard. If I'm going to go gaming, I'm going to have fun. Anyway, I'm doing another one on Tuesday, the 22nd. I'll do 1 or 2 more before the end of the year. And then at the end of the year, if the market is there, we'll establish a regular price. Right now I'm doing an introductory for $50 for the group, for the session, 4 to 7 players. I've done this dozens of times now at cons. I know this game will work. I have players that come every year at the cons, sign up for it, sometimes twice in the same con, knowing that no 2 games are ever alike. I can have the same group of people year after year as I've had out east, and they all try to give me something more cockamamie and bizarre than they did the last time. And so, of course, the games are never going to be the same. Even if they gave me the same stuff, probably wouldn't be the same, because I do it on the spur of the moment. And whatever piques my interest hits me in the flank like a spur. That's enough bad puns. For those of you who celebrate, have a blessed winter solstice, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Doda da Govi for 2020 and to 2020. Stay safe, distance, stay out of crowds, mask, please. Oh, hello. I'm still figuring out when this thing starts. Welcome to my cellar.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs. Still quite a feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar.
Last man around when the race went down. Calling Gary in that Lake Geneva town. Hey Gary, it's an awful mess. Let me edit, we'll have success. D&D and Dragon Magazine.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar.
Magic missile, it's a mortar shell. Make it hit in the first level spell. Brought psionics to the game to attack that wizard's brain. ESR and fantasy, collection of micro armory. Titan with tramp under a tree, high as could be.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar.